Hello everyone, we are live from the Microsoft 365 Community Conference in Orlando, and I am here with Sanjoyan. Sanjoyan, how are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thanks for being here. It's the second time you're actually on the channel here on Vlad Talks Tech. The previous webinar we did before was a couple of years ago now.
Yes.
It was a couple of years ago, but it had over 20,000 views, so people definitely loved you.
Oh.
And I'm happy to see you in person now. Last time it was remote, now we're doing it in person.
Definitely.
Always more fun.
Definitely. So much better. Thanks for
So
that.
much better. But how are you finding the conference so far?
The conference is awesome and absolutely buzzing. I love all the customers and partners visiting in the same place together and exchanging ideas. This is an awesome platform, and we're learning so much.
Great to have 3,000 people all here at the same time. And you're a busy person this week. You had, what, 4 sessions?
3 sessions, and then we are doing this thing now.
And then we're doing this thing now, and you're in the expo hall, everything. You don't get, well, thank you so much for making time for me.
No worries.
But one of the sessions you're presenting is all about SharePoint eSignature, which is quite new. I mean, in the past, and I've been doing SharePoint for a while now, we wanted to have documents in SharePoint, but whenever we needed eSignature, things like that, we had to go to DocuSign, to Adobe, and have different integrations. We needed a custom solution, everything like that. But now Microsoft is bringing it as a native tool inside. And well, first of all, did this go GA yet, or is it still in preview?
We are GAing in specific geographies, starting with North America, because eSignature always is tied to some legal nature. So every geography has their own legal entities and rules and regulations. So we are careful in slowly releasing it to Europe, which will be early 2025.
Early 2025. Wow. So in North America, we get it
now
quite a bit in advance. Now is already live.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's cover a bit, because I feel it's such a new tool, and so many companies in a way already have that in place with whether it's DocuSign, Adobe, or any of the probably 50, 80 other existing vendors. So let's take 15 minutes and deep dive a bit into eSignature. So what can you tell us? What do you want to get started with?
Absolutely. And you use 2 keywords when you describe the scenario: integration and partners. Okay. So this space, to start with, is a huge space. Let me give you some numbers. In North America only, businesses, all business together, spends around $100 billion plus to maintain manual documentation, paper documentation. Okay. So this is a very, very big business area. The primary reason we are entering this market is because of integrations and seamless integration. Example, let me show you in the screen a common experience that you will go through when you are doing an e-signature. So at the beginning, you will start by drafting a contract. Generally, you start with a template that you already have, or you create a template from the scratch, and then you add clauses. For example, you are doing an employment agreement, you are doing some other contracts with your third-party procurement team and whatnot. You start with a template and then add specific clauses. Once you do review all the changes, at that point in time, in the third bucket on the screen, you see you now need to integrate with your third-party vendors, which is Adobe, DocuSign, very popular, and high probability your viewers are also using that. So the best thing that we are doing as a first-party e-signature provider is to ensure that you do not have to leave the boundary of Office 365. Your documents stays within the boundary of Office 365, where you have all the compliance, all the governance in place, and still you are able to invite external entities and do collaboration and do signing. So that's our main value proposition. The second is the pricing model that we are introducing, and I'll talk more later. However, it is a per request pricing model at this point in time versus per user per month pricing model where you get a lock-in. So it's a pay-per-use model for us to begin with, and then we'll see how the market reacts to that.
Well, you said you'll cover it deeper. I'll keep my questions for a bit later then on licensing.
Sure. So as a next step, Vlad, I would like to show you the 4 pillars that we are offering before I show you a very quick demo of how actually we are doing it. So the 4 pillars that we are covering, as you see on the screen, are our first-party offering, as I described, where the document stays within SharePoint and OneDrive and do not need to leave. The second is if you already have investments with large third-party e-signature provider like popularly DocuSign and Adobe, 95% of our user base already has that. So we offer seamless collaboration with your third-party providers, again, by keeping most of the contents within SharePoint or bringing the contents after signature into SharePoint. And we will see a demo of that as well.
I can't wait to see that.
And on the right-hand side, you can see that we are providing native integration with Word being a very common tool to create contracts and agreements. So you do not need to leave Word. You can actually integrate. More I can show you in my demo as well. And the last one, which is not there yet, but we are working on, is our Graph API that we are going to expose.
Okay.
These APIs will be metered. So if you are building your application, like in an organization using Power Automate or some other tooling, you can consume this service natively as well.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
let's dive into the demo.
Let's go. That's the most fun part.
Yeah.
Always the demo.
So I'll start with our first-party experience plan. And the scenario here is Daisy from Contoso Outdoor is actually trying to collaborate with Carlos, who is from Fabricam. Daisy is our procurement manager persona, and then she's sending an e-signature document to Carlos. So I'm going to narrate you this story and how it works. Okay. So let's roll that. Daisy's work starts within SharePoint. So she goes to a common SharePoint library, opens up a PDF document. As you see, the document is opened in browser. From native browser experience, you can now add recipients directly to your PDF document.
Okay.
So Daisy adds herself and adds Carlos.
Okay, perfect. So we specify who do we invite, both internal, external, and now what is next?
Yeah, so the key here is, Vlad, if you notice, we are still within SharePoint and the web experience. So I add my e-signature fields at the appropriate places. I need some dates as well. I have a clause that I added for Carlos. I'm adding my initials column as well. You can add more. We have out of the box 25 such columns, and you can add more to that. She also leaves an optional message so that when Carlos gets the e-signature request, he knows what are the changes that has been done from the original template. The request now is sent. So as a step 1, once Daisy gets the request, this is the real signing step where she is going to first sign the document. She is a signatory to the document. So Daisy goes ahead and signs the document, enters the date, and clicks on submit, again within the SharePoint experience. Once the signature is completed by Daisy, she gets a confirmation, and she also can see on the screen that it is waiting for Carlos to sign.
Okay.
Carlos gets the email from Daisy and clicks on view request. Once he does that, Carlos will be taken to the similar experience, but as a step 1, he needs to accept the terms and conditions. Once he does that, the same document opens up. Carlos notices that the Daisy has already signed the document. He goes ahead and adds his initial, which means he has read the change in clause, and then puts the final signature and the date. The experience is seamless. If you have done e-signature,
it's very, very similar, which is good, which is a good thing because everybody's already used to it.
So now Daisy gets confirmation. You see, she clicks on this folder link in the email, takes her back to the same location, and now the file, which is signed, and we use a naming convention, name of the file, the date, time when it is signed, and save the signed copy. So Daisy can go ahead and see that the signature process is complete. On her right, she can see what was the request history when the document was actually signed. So any questions you have? How do you like the experience so far?
The experience seems super simple, which I love, because I'm really bad at setting those up, so I feel even I can do it. So I like that part.
Let me now answer your previous question as you asked, hey, Sanjoyan, how to even set this up by the admin? Okay. So in order to do that, let me show you how it looks like in the admin center. So as a step 1, in the admin center, you have to set up Pagey. So you go to Azure portal and set up.
1 second, Pagey. What is that? Not everybody knows what that means.
Thank you so much, and I use so much acronyms. So PAYG means pay-as-you-go billing, where you need an Azure subscription and attach it to the PAYG or pay-as-you-go billing metering service. So when you use the service, as a very simple example, suppose if you are like uploading a file, and if I would have metered it, the number of times you do an activity, it ticks the meter, and then you get to get a bill at the end or a receipt at the end of the month. Okay, so this is that service, and many other syntax features uses that.
And I see Syntax, which is now SharePoint Premium. That's one of the tools that got renamed a few times. It'll take a while until it's everywhere in the admin center.
I accept that feedback. Yes, we did change this naming convention a couple of times. So if your users are using this today, they will see this branding in place.
Yeah.
However, it will change soon to SharePoint Premium.
And this is on the admin side. We're used to it on the admin side. It doesn't matter as much. We know what it is. But so this is not only for eSignature, right? So when we configure this, we configure pay-as-you-go for the whole SharePoint Premium functionality, right?
True.
Okay.
True. And so once, assuming you have set up the PAYG, the second tab on your right is turned on, which is Manage Microsoft Syntax. The branding again will change. But if you go now inside that tab, it shows you all the available services. As an admin, you can control what you can turn on.
Awesome. So if we just want eSignature, we don't want any of that AI stuff, I can just have eSignature.
Yes.
Awesome.
And you have more granularity. So if you click on eSignature, definitely you can turn it on, but you can see that you can publish this ability to a selected set of SharePoint sites.
Cool.
Okay, so let's see how it is done. So you click on the select sites option, and that takes you to a selection screen. So you can manually add up to 100, or if you have a very simple CSV file or an Excel with a list of whole bunch of sites, you can just simply upload. I believe as an admin, we always love we love it.
We love CSV, we love PowerShell, so that's awesome. Great.
Correct. Okay. So now this is the setup process. So you set up your metering service, with your Azure subscription, turn on eSignature, and then publish it to sites where this ability is now available to common users.
Okay.
Of those
and
sites.
it's SharePoint and/or OneDrive for business, right? Or is it only SharePoint?
Very, very good question. At this point in time, this is only for SharePoint.
Okay.
We are considering bringing this to OneDrive as well in future.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so that answers your question, Vlad, that how do we turn on this facility for, in general, for the users. The third thing I would like to show to you is, if you have your investments already with Adobe and Docusign and you are working with them already, then you can still use the end user experience, but at the end, you can still use them as your main service provider.
Okay.
And for that, we do not charge, because we are, in that case, you just need to turn on the metering. However, since DocuSign or Adobe or whoever is your third-party service provider is doing the main work, we are just a pass-through. So your meter will not be ticked for that. Okay.
Wow, cool. So I can have all the benefits of still having the files in SharePoint. So you mentioned signed files going automatically to SharePoint.
I'll show.
And yet I don't pay anything to Microsoft.
If you are using the signature service.
If I'm already paying for DocuSign, Adobe.
So that will be just
that's amazing.
Double billing you. We don't do that.
That's amazing.
Sure. So let me show you for a customer who already has their service provider as DocuSign, and I'll show you in this example how the entire integration works. Okay. So let me run the scenario video. Cool. So the scenario is still the same. So Daisy starts the initiative, and now I'll pause here to show you, Vlad. Since we went to the admin portal and enabled the service and added the third-party service providers, in this example, they will show up under this panel. Remember my first demo, it only showed eSignature under Microsoft. This happens, the additional list of partners will show up once you enable the eSign process in the admin portal. In this example, she chooses DocuSign. So once she makes the choice, and here are, as you will notice, some natural process that you need to go through, which is you need to now sign into DocuSign, because what happens is, this is what I was letting you know earlier. So you go through the signing process. If you see I had to upload the document to that service provider. So the Contoso agreement document has to be physically uploaded.
Yeah.
So now it has left the trust boundary and landed, outside your trust boundary. Okay. From that point onwards, the process is kind of similar, which is, inside DocuSign, you add the fields, you add the columns. So I did not take you through the entire process. And then, you get this signed, you get the email back as, all the signing process happens. Once everything happens, you will notice that we create a folder. Again, I'll pause you to quickly show you add. So my files were inside the documents folder in the SharePoint site. What we do is we create a folder called apps, sign documents, and then one per each external vendor that you have. In my example, I use DocuSign, so I create a folder. The service creates a folder called DocuSign and brings back the signed in document seamlessly.
Awesome.
When we worked with, as an example, large customers to understand their cases, like legal department does a lot, inside Microsoft too, this is a huge win because today people write custom workflows, or this process is entirely painful and manual where they need to manually bring back documents and save it back to SharePoint. And if they somehow miss it, their most important e-signed documents is now like out of their control.
They lost track. They don't know exactly where it is and everything.
Plus, you are very much aware of retention policies. You have liabilities that you need to take care, legal liabilities. Okay, so you need to maintain and keep this document for, like, let's say 7 years in banking industry. So all these are by default compliant.
Awesome. Can I apply a SharePoint Premium? Can I do extraction in this library after?
Thank you for asking. This is one of our major use cases where when the signed in document comes in, we can turn on, since the metering service is turned on, so now you can use autofill to extract content and automatically populate all the relevant metadata that you want.
That's awesome. So not only do I have my document in SharePoint, but all the boring part of manually setting metadata is done for me.
Absolutely.
I love that part. Maybe another question for you, and again, I come from an admin world, so can I set what users in my tenant? I know you said we can set it to certain sites. Can I also only allow certain users from a security group, or is it only at the site level is my only admin control?
At present, for eSignature, the control is only at the site level.
Okay.
What we found out, not everybody in the company works in e-signing experience. There are departments like sales, procurement, HR, or legal. These are the departments. So they pretty much know where their documents are, where the e-sign documents are or should be, and they control that.
Yeah, the big worry I think a lot of organizations have with pay-as-you-go is what happens if somebody's having fun, trying things, and like you said, you pay per you don't use the word signature, and we'll talk licensing after. You pay per usage. What happens if Vlad goes in and is like, oh, cool, new feature. Let me go try it 10, 20 times. So that's why I was asking the question.
No, you have a very, very valid point. Okay. Yes, we do not have that granularity. We have got that feedback not only from you, but from several other customers. So we plan to build that.
Of course. And like you said, it's just went GA, so it's always going to improve after. Now, are you ready for the licensing talk?
Yes. Okay.
Are you ready? I know licensing is always a different PhD. Or did you want to share something else before?
I'll do one quick section on roadmap, and then we'll do the licensing.
Love it.
This is my licensing slide. Okay. So you can read and ask me a question.
Okay. So let's see on the roadmap. So available now, February 2024. Signing document, declining to sign it, canceling a request, email notifications, activity. Then coming June, so in a month from now, the timer has started. Integration with approvals in Teams, that's exciting. Adobe Sign and DocuSign integrations, which you showed us. And we're going to get it in UK, Ireland, and the best country in the world, Canada. I'm a tiny bit biased, okay? But I'm happy, so in only 1 month, I'll be able to use it in my tenant.
Yes, yes. As I said earlier, we are starting with North America, expanding to bigger markets, big markets, UK, Ireland together, and then Canada followed by Canada. And then, as I said, we will do with Europe. I would add that we are starting small, at this point
Yeah.
in time, capability-wise, because DocuSign, Adobe Sign, and other players that are there in the market are very, very mature in this space. So we are starting with the basic capabilities, okay, and then maturing. As an example, if you see what we are bringing in June is sequential signing, where you can enforce that the signing has to happen in the specific order that you define, okay, and then unless that person signs, the next person cannot sign it. So this is an important, we learned that this is a very important scenario for our customers.
That's something I realized as well. The person that sent the signature in the first demo was the first one to sign. But a lot of times, if I want you to sign something, I'll wait for you to sign it, and then I do the final signature. So today, as we record this, it's not available, but it will be available in only a month.
Very soon. Very soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And let's see, what's coming beyond June?
So let's say beyond June through the end of this year, we are bringing in
calendar year or fiscal year? I learned that when talking to Microsoft. So fiscal or calendar?
I like that, Vlad. So we are talking about calendar year.
Calendar year, perfect.
So by Christmas time, you are going to get native integration in Word and Excel, because our customers told that this is the most common medium of creating contracts and agreements and things like that. So you do not need to even leave the Word space. So you will get a Get Signature button like the one I showed earlier within Word, and you can start the process, kick off the process from there. As you said, and one of the great questions was, admin, can they choose groups? So yes, admins will be able to say, oh, I publish this capability to my legal group and legal group only, so that I don't have this Vlad, this guy who is very enthusiastic and he will run in a loop
signatures to everybody
and tick my bill.
So
yes, that is coming soon. Power Automate integration and API integration. This is the two main things which we have heard from our customers. Many cases they want to automate the process. Legal firms, firms in construction, they generate contracts a lot. So giving them ways to automate that is our next priority.
Awesome. Okay, what are the questions I had for you as I look at later? And this is stuff that might already be in there. So last year I bought a house. It was all electronic, everything. Yes, there was a lot of paperwork and a lot of e-signatures. And when I bought the house, they were using this weird e-signature service that I never heard about. And I was like, why? Why don't they use like something that we know? And then I learned that in some use cases, like in Quebec real estate, you need the e-signature provider to have like the location by IP. You need to have multi-factor authentication, things like that. I see multi-factor authentication, you have it there. But right now, what kind of metadata do I get when I send you to sign a document? Do I know the location where you signed it from? Do I know, was it from a phone? What kind of metadata do I get as you're my external signer?
So as of now, we are storing 3 pieces of information. We do store location.
Okay, awesome.
We store the device. So we know that you are signing in from maybe a handle device or a desktop. So we have an idea. And then we know that whether you are using a browser or a native app, and what type of browser. So we can get you back with all this metadata information. We are working on more rich metadata extraction for admins in general, so that you know that this has been signed by Vlad from Quebec and not like Vlad from, let's say, somewhere else. Okay, this is the real Vlad, which we expected. So good question, yes.
Okay, perfect. Now let's go to licensing. So you used the word $2 per request created. So that is not $2 per completed signature.
No.
So that's a really very different word there, because if I send you 5, let's say I create a document, I send it to you for signature, you're like, Vlad, you know what, that clause, I don't like the wording of it. And then it's okay, I decline it, or I guess I can cancel it as well. And then I send it to you, and then you tell me, Vlad, you know what, the point after, I don't like it either, and I go make the change. I can still pay every time I send you a request. So basically make sure you agree with the person what you send before you send it, to not pay extra.
Yes. it is a per request pricing model at this point in time. But as I also said, if you notice the way I have put it, it is only for the SharePoint eSignature first-party offering.
Yes.
If you are working on integrating with your existing third-party provider, then you still need to go to the Azure pay-go service and then turn on the metering for Syntax. However, the meter will not tick because
It
you
will
are
not
always
add anything.
Yes, it will not charge you
Yeah.
because your request is served by the third-party provider.
That's awesome. And look, I never had to purchase DocuSign, Adobe eSign, so I don't know the prices. Maybe I should have binged them before starting this video, but how does the pricing of Microsoft compare to other third-party services?
That's a good question. So it really depends on the volume. Okay. So the pay-go service, okay, where I charge you per request completed, is good till it goes to a certain number, and then it exceeds your, let's say, external vendor is it's a completely fictitious number, is charging you per person per month $100. Okay.
Yeah.
So even if you don't use the service a single time, you are going to pay that much money at the end of the month for the entire year.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you want to get some discounts, you generally do a bigger like an annual contract. This one is beneficial if your volume is low and if you're not using that much amount of requests.
Yeah.
However, if you're doing a large amount, then still it is beneficial to work with your big service providers, which is DocuSign and Adobe.
So that for me as a smaller person company, I love this because I maybe send one a month. So this is super perfect for me, okay. But still, because of that third-party integration, there's no reason why a company in the US today should not enable it and start, all those custom workflows, like you said they had. Why have it custom when you can just have it first party managed by Microsoft and get all that data back in SharePoint? So that is amazing.
Yes, that is exactly the purpose for this. That if you are a large enterprise, of course, and you are using DocuSign, Adobe and any other service providers, okay, you should, if you feel comfortable, you should continue with your, initiative.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I love it. I cannot wait to use it. But still one more month of waiting in Canada. Yes. I'll create a SharePoint site with a countdown timer on it until it's available in Canada. But thank you so much for taking the time and showing me all those things and answering all my tough questions. Hopefully not too tough.
No, I always enjoy talking with you, Vlad.
But yeah, no, it's been amazing. And I think this will be something that will be super popular among enterprises because I see it more and more where companies, they started and they had service here, service there, and then the admins are like, okay, now I need to manage compliance, retention, everything in 10 different apps with 10 different UIs, 10 different audit logs whenever I need it, and they go crazy.
Or rely on their end user, which is even more risky.
Yes. Because every end user buys the enterprise subscription with MFA and compliance. They all do that. So it's amazing to see a lot more of those things coming directly to Microsoft and making our lives as admins easier. And I can't wait to try it again in 1 month. As soon as it's available in Canada, I'm telling you, day one, I'll send you a screenshot that I tried it. Or I might send you an e-signature to your email. You're going to get a contract from Vlad, and you're going to be like, wait, what? But thank you so much again for taking the time. And for everybody else, really hope you have enjoyed this video. Please make sure you like it. And if you'd like to see Sanjoyan join us for more in-depth videos like that, please put it in the comments. This way I can bribe him and convince him later to do more videos with me. But thank you so much for watching, everyone, and really hope you enjoyed.